cannot imagine them not wanting to take out Trump. He is the biggest threat to their fundamental terroristic ideology than anyone has ever been. They are screwed if Trump gets in office. I really truly believe that there are many different groups that are sweating every single day, praying to God that Trump doesn't get in office because he is going to clean house. I do not believe Trump is our savior. I only believe one is Jesus. But I believe that Trump is going to kick the can down the street for our kids. I think there's a lot of people that don't want Trump in office. If that means unaliving him, that's what's got to happen, I'm sure.
What's up, everybody? Simon here. On this episode of the Ideal Hour podcast, I got Jimmy Watson back. He's a former Navy SEAL. He's done multiple tours. He's a leading sniper or a team lead. There's so much he's done. This guy's lived many lives. He's had an incident with the FBI. He's worked with John McAfee, etc., and so forth. I'm going to go into some crazy things because he's got some security experience, and we're going to talk about the current lapse in America with Donald Trump attempted assassination attempts, Iran trying to kill him. You've got a lot going on. Jimmy, thanks for coming back on the podcast to talk about all this fun stuff. How you been, man?
I'm doing great, man. I want to correct you though. That was a mistake. I've had a couple run-ins with the FBI.
A couple, not just one.
A couple, bro. A couple. Who do you know other than Donald Trump that's had a couple? Like, I don't know anyone that's had one personally.
Wow.
And then you got Jimmy Watson over here, who's had two major life-changing events that were all under the FBI. Now, one of the orders that I'm under says that I can never deflect and say that I didn't do it, okay? That's all the crypto charges, okay? You got me there, okay. All right? But the first one, I don't know, bro, with Blackwater. I don't know, man. I think that our country is in freaking dire desperation. I think we're in desperate times, and I think that our country is burning to the ground.
I agree. I think it's, first of all, when has it become okay to laugh at an assassination attempt of a president? Yesterday or the day before, I was actually in New York very recently, but Saturday Night Live had a skit mocking a Trump assassination. I mean, this is a former president, man.
Yeah, I try to dissect these situations, brother. And one of the biggest things that I saw about the second attempt is, and it happened with the first one too, was the deflection. And there's never been a time in our history where there was an assassination attempt or something dramatic happened and the country didn't come together. Usually a country comes together. 9/11 happens and you sell out all the American flags.
Yep.
There's American flags everywhere. When I came back from Afghanistan, my dad said, son, you're not going to believe America has changed. Because I joined before 9/11 in the Marine Corps. And then I went on multiple deployments to Afghanistan. When I came home, there were flags everywhere. What happened to that? Well, now, fast forward, you have a second attempt assassination with Trump, right?
Yep.
And the very next day, you have a disparaging. Oh, no, just a couple hours later, it's disparaging. And like these people, the hate. I mean, this guy, if Biden got his ear nicked by a bullet,
yep.
I mean, I would just be like, oh, my God, that's tragic. You literally have people saying, man, if he only would have, just stood still, we would have taken him out. This is...
It's sickening.
It's systemic hate in our country and division like I've never seen before. And it's very sad.
Not only that, the media, to your point, has completely covered it up. I mean, they've run this Diddy story. They run something to completely take the focus off an assassination attempt. There was only a couple news networks covering it, but this was a real thing. He could have been, he should have been killed. By the grace of God, he turned at the very last minute, or last second, I should say, and it nicked him. And then people were saying this is staged, which is ridiculous. It's like, no, the Secret Service, and you know more about this because you are experienced to protect top assets. The Secret Service, in my opinion, had a massive failure. It's everybody's opinion. But as it played along and as it went down, it looked like they had Secret Service in there that don't belong in the role of protecting such a high figure.
It goes back to DEI. You reverse the letters around, it's die. We are going to die if we continue down this road with DEI. It was happening a little bit when I retired out of the SEAL teams. It was happening a little bit. You saw this weird stuff happening along the way. Now, if you think about it, in almost every special operations force, they have females. It's already proven to be disastrous. I really believe in the female figure, the woman figure. She's the lifeblood of our children. We should be protecting our women from war. We should be protecting our women. These poor girls, part of this Trump thing, the Secret Service, I feel so bad for them. They just got hammered and steamrolled. They should have never been in that situation to be hammered and steamrolled. The one couldn't even, she was fumbling around with her pistol, sloppy, fat. And I'm not saying that to be a fat shaming or something, but when you're in a role to protect a guy that's, 6'4"? I don't know how tall Trump is.
He's tall.
He's a tall guy.
Yep, and he's big.
You've got to have pipe hitters around him. We sent a SEAL team to protect the president of Iraq, and when they did that, all of the shenanigans stopped.
Yep.
The terrorist organizations didn't even want to go. When you have a SEAL team patrolling around a foreign president, we sent a SEAL team to protect him in one of the deadliest environments in the world, Baghdad, Iraq, during the height of the war there. But why are we fiddling around with Donald Trump? Because you have guys like you have guys like President Putin that are laughing at us. we are the laughing stock of the world. My wife is from Moscow.
Okay.
She said this absolutely would have never happened. You can't get within 2 miles of Putin. Putin's head of security, which they're all like judo masters. They're all like masters in their field. They're all big, tough guys.
They're tough guys.
They're tough, man. They can take a board to the face, and they're standing around Putin. And other dignitaries can't even touch Putin without them coming in. Because their life is on.
Did you see when Conor McGregor even tried to put his hand over it one time and they said
no. And because they're in fear of their life. Now I don't think that we should be in fear for our life regarding Biden or Trump. But honestly, when you take on that role, it's one of those sacrificial lamb things where you're signing the document, just kind of like when you sign up for your country. You're like, dude, I might die for my country. Whether it doesn't matter right and wrong. I didn't say, for America's right and wrong. I said for your country, meaning on behalf of your country, you're sent to Iraq or Afghanistan, right? And when you sign those papers as a Secret Service agent or a SEAL or Marine, you're signing saying, look, I'm willing to give my life for this individual. And if you don't agree with that, don't sign the document. Don't join. I don't know what these poor girls were thinking when they signed up to protect Donald Trump. It's got to be on the higher risk jobs out there to take.
It's one of the most higher risk jobs. And to your point, it's not about shaming a woman or anything like that, but let's be realistic. Whoever put an individual that's not fit for that position, not only physically, mentally, or whatever it may be with training, right? You mentioned a gun holster and so forth. You're endangering not only the president, you're endangering that individual's life. So they could have been hit by a bullet as well and been taken out. You're also endangering the rest of the team. There's no scenario either in business or in any other form of a successful operation, whether it be a company, a sports team, or anything, you don't put an unqualified person, and in my opinion, unqualified is someone that's not tested or proven or whatever it may be, in such a highly stressful position, because you're endangering the success of the operation. You're never going to send out, and if your commander or whoever sent out untrained people on a Navy SEALs mission, it would not go down well, because as a team, you tell me.
Can you freaking imagine putting one of these? It's the same thing as putting one of these girls on a professional NFL football player team during the Super Bowl. They're going to get smashed. Yep. Why don't we do it there? But we're willing instead to put these females on special forces Green Berets, bro. I respected the Green Berets so much as a kid. I wanted to be a Green Beret, the men with green faces in the jungle. 100 men will test today was the Barry Sadler song. Yep. And only 3 men will win the Green Beret.
Like a Rambo movie.
Rambo.
Yep.
And now, bro, you have women in the ranks of special operations teams. People have been watching way too much G.I. Jane, yep, Lara Croft, whatever it is, because it ain't ever going to work, bro. The pressures in strain physically that are on your body are so tremendous. It's one thing to go. It's one thing to go get a trophy at a CrossFit Games as a female. Yep. It's another thing to be immersed in unpredictable environmental circumstances, that freezing water, frigid conditions. War is way worse than SEAL selection. And so you put this female that's unqualified, that barely makes it through the training, if she even did, and then, or that's just kind of shooed through, yeah, and then it's disaster for the whole team.
Just because of gender numbers. That's what we're talking about. Now, if the woman passes everything with flying colors, great. She belongs in there. But the people that were there did not look like they made potential training, man.
Brother, they already did a massive test of the Marine Corps, but General Milley and the liberal yes men, they're just political figures, these generals, okay, the same ones that said Trump said that all service members are suckers and losers. These guys, okay, these guys that are lying through their teeth because they're getting fired for corruption, fraud, and being weak pansies. Yep. These guys, okay, are the same ones that hid the data. They hid the facts. A paper came in from the Marine Corps. They did a massive test study in 29 Palms, and where they put females and males in the same combat unit and ran them through tremendous amount of circumstances and tests out in 29 Palms. We call it 29 stumps. They found at the end of the day that Marine unit with females and males in combat roles was 25% less effective. Are we willing to take
That's crazy.
those odds in combat? Are we willing to be 25% less combat effective when guarding a presidential candidate?
It's crazy. And the thing is, it seemed like he didn't even have enough resources. I saw you did a couple videos on him, and I was like, wow, this hit home, because they didn't even check how you're a sniper, right? How far was the shooter from Trump? And how easy is that for an average shooter or even a professional? Like, what? The distance was not far, right?
Bro, the distance, I mean, what's crazy is, I almost asked you which shooter.
The first one on the slope that they said was too dangerous to.
That was with iron sights. A Marine can fire an iron sights M16. All right, A1 or A2, whatever, at 500 yards, iron sights. Okay. All right, at 150 yards, please don't quote me. I can't remember exactly what the distance was, bro. It's like point, aim, pull the trigger, you're dead.
Wow.
And this guy is crawling all over these structures. And the Secret Service came out with their report, their summarization of the aftermath, and said that we need to not use cell phones as our primary. What the hell are you talking about? Cell phones? Bro, there's never a time in my life on a SEAL mission or that I've ever heard of, unless you are in, I'm talking desperate times, where you're going to use a cell phone to call in the guy. People have it on silent. You know, what am I going to reach him out? As a sniper, I'm going to reach. Oh, hold on, man. Joe's giving me a text here. What the heck? Shots start getting fired. No, it's called a push-to-talk radio. You literally just push the button, speak, and it transmits a radio signal that quick.
Crazy. And then they said that the slope, the reason they didn't monitor that area was a slope. We looked at the slope, and the slope was like, I mean, it's not even a treadmill climb height. It was something weird. This whole scenario, no accountability. I mean, the Secret Service person did get fired, I believe, or stepped down, one of those things. But then again, we have another incident with Trump. He's golfing. The guy likes to golf. I mean, he's in Florida. Who doesn't like to golf out there? But again, second sniper, some wacko in the bushes. Do you think this is a manpower thing? They're not giving them enough people to, scope this area? Or do you think this is like, hey, the people that are in the Secret Service today, and I'm not knocking the Secret Service, some of them are probably very good, et cetera, just like every company has bad people, good people. But do you think it's manpower or it's training, or they just don't care? They don't really want Trump to win. They don't care if he gets killed.
Well, I think we put too much weight on people. Like, okay, you could take all my skills as a Navy SEAL sniper and all this stuff, and you could think that I was a badass ninja warrior. In reality, okay, my wife knows this, my kid knows this, my close friends know this, that I'm not that badass. So you got to take it down a notch. And that's with all my training, right? That's with all my years of experience in 13 combat deployments, all this crazy stuff, okay? Living overseas in war. All right, I'm not that badass. I can easily get killed. Look at Chris Kyle. He got shot in the back of the head. Yeah. So it comes down to a manpower issue in putting too much weight on these people's training experience. They need way more training. They need way more experience, and they need way more manpower. They need robust numbers. Like Putin's detail is insane. Yeah. They should have been scouring. Me and my dad were laughing back and forth. You can't make this stuff up. This guy was in the bushes. The second shooter. I can't even believe we're talking about a second shooter. Yeah. The second shooter. It's insane. The second shooter is in the bushes, 300 to 500 yards away, waiting there with his weapon. Through the chain link fence is something you would never do as a sniper. A counter sniper could kill you very easily if you put your weapon through the ledge or through the window or through the chain link fence. And this guy's like, it's by the grace of God this guy was seen, right? And thank God they have an advanced party. Thank God they had the wherewithal, foresight to actually fit an advanced crew, a member from the Secret Service, and see this guy into the bushes. But they need way more training, way more experience, way more manpower. They should have been scouring these areas, the freaking triple canopy jungle around this golf course.
Multiple times. It's on a busy street.
Should have been secured, brother, a long time before he ever came through there.
And this is Palm Beach for the audience, West Palm Beach. For the audience, that's one of the nicer. I mean, West Palm Beach is not as nice as Palm Beach. But if a guy's walking around with a long rifle, I mean, this is not. It doesn't fit the area. You know what I mean,
brother? We're so reactive. Americans are so reactive now, and it's so sad. It's like Pearl Harbor. It takes an entire Pearl Harbor. It takes the entire 9/11. It took a USS Cole for people to get their heads out of their ass and say, "Oh my God, evil is real." There's real psychopaths out there, and the fact that people are deflecting and disparaging and playing the blame game,
the victims,
they're victims. That's the most worrisome thing I've ever seen.
I agree with you. I agree with you. You're dealing with not nice people, and you've seen it where you've been deployed to. But you're dealing with killers that'll take a life and not even respect anything. And I think there was do you remember there was like in Russia, for example, there was some terrorist attack. The secret, their Navy SEALs or their version of I think it's called Spets something.
Spetsnaz, yeah.
Yeah. They came out and they literally, I think they took the guy's eye out. They weren't playing, man. They caught him in the woods. Whether or not this went down the way it was, believed to be reported, but they don't play. And I think in America we've lost that sense of who are you dealing with. Like there is no let me get my lawyer kind of thing going on here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly, man. We're living in a crazy time, and now, you have all this disparaging going on, and we've got to come together somehow. I don't know if it's possible now. I think we're kind of too far down that road. And if you really think about it, if Trump's supporters are the radicals, MAGAs, all these crazies running around, if they're so radical, the January 6ers, all this, if they're so bad, why isn't there multiple attempts on Biden and Harris? Thank God that there's not.
Yeah,
thank God that there's no assassination attempts on them. But why is there not? Because maybe because Trump is actually doing something right. Maybe because they're not so radical. They're just patriots that want to keep our Second and First Amendment rights.
Yeah, which they said multiple times, the Biden and Harris administration, they said they would take the guns away. Although now during the election time, the problem is people hate Trump. They really hate him in terms of when the people that don't like him, they don't want to vote for him. They hate his personality. But even if you hate a person, you got to understand what they're doing good for the country versus bad. You got to understand what they're doing good for your family versus bad. Like, I may not like someone, but I'll respect that person has good intentions for the country. I just don't see Harris and Biden having good intentions for America. Look at the border, for example. What if people are struggling out here? There's homeless, there's veterans on the street, there's, for example, Florida just got flooded. They barely gave them enough resources. And yet they, at the same time, agreed to send $6 or $8 billion more to Ukraine for Zelensky. Like, how can you say you don't have money to help out citizens and people that are struggling out here, yet you're sending money abroad for a war that should really stop because, people are dying for no reason. But with Trump, you have to understand this guy's intention. He came in as a billionaire. He didn't need this fight. He could have been enjoying golf, a yacht, a drink, or whatever. He really saw what's happening in America. And with Biden Harris, I think it's a problem. And I want to talk about the border because I think that's the biggest problem. It's not even the finances that are going to affect your pocket, my pocket, that I feel like the Biden-Harris administration is terrible at. But let's talk about the border. When is it a good idea to let more and more people in? You don't know who's coming in, right? I mean, if you were sent on a mission from Iran or Iraq or China or Russia even or Ukraine or whatever, you want to put a cell into America, you'd send them straight in through the border. They would be in here. They could be 150, 200, 500 people here ready to go at any time and do the same thing they did as they have done in Israel on October 7th. It's not hard to get a gun in America.
80% of the millions and millions of illegals that have come through our borders are military-aged men. Why? And you have to ask yourself, why would you leave a country as a single man to another country? You're coming over here not to enjoy the freedoms. You're coming here to take. Okay? They don't understand democracy. We've already proven that other countries don't understand democracy. We've tried to do the voting with the blue finger in Baghdad until V-Bits came in and blew everybody up while they were standing in line to vote. They don't understand it. they really only understand boot on neck policy. So they come over here and they're going to incorporate their ideology.
Yep.
They're going to want you and me to accept their fundamental views of Muslim and all this different stuff. And I'm telling you, the Quran does not speak very highly of people like us and what we want to do. And they're already incorporating the Muslim prayer 5 times a day in certain states. I mean, this is real stuff. I'm not making this up. I mean, on loudspeakers. What about a noise ordinance? You see, it's a slow infiltration across our borders, and you've got millions and millions coming over, and they're from the top 20 countries that
hate us.
Fundamentally hate us.
Yeah, they hate freedom. They hate, actually, getting back to that, they hate women's rights. They hate gay rights. A lot of these places. The weirdest thing I see out here in San Francisco is Queers for Palestine or something like this, or
it's
Queers
crazy.
for Gaza. It's just, there's a group that's called that. And I'm like, do you realize that they would destroy you if you were in Gaza? They would throw you off a building for being gay, which is nuts. And you're right, Jimmy. They want to destabilize America. And my biggest fear is the way they're going to do it is simply through voting and outnumbering and being louder than the American population. And for some reason, the American liberal, what I don't understand, and I'm talking about the liberal, not necessarily the old school Democrats, which may not like certain things and so forth, and we're kind of like Elon Musk, where all of a sudden he doesn't recognize his own party. But the old school, the liberals, they're okay with it. They're allowing people to come in. They don't understand. They're cheering for these people to come in. They're accepting it, and they're not realizing that, hey, they're gonna vote you out of government. That's the first step. You get people in, look at Michigan, look at Minnesota, look at all these places. You get people into government, you start voting the way you want to vote, the way you want to see things. You're going to start requiring women to, cover themselves up, which is completely against what America has fought for. I'm not even talking about the fact that men are in women's sports and these feminists have reversed their course and think this is a great deal, which is ridiculous. But I worry with all these people coming in, they're going to start voting the way they want. They're going to start pushing the agenda that they won't assimilate. And I think you share that. Do you not?
Yeah, it's called the Cloward-Piven strategy. It's already been proven to work. Cloward-Piven, they've already proved this to work in other countries. It's a slow migration into another country. The borders get loosened. You have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people flood over. And eventually, you are going to be forced to assimilate the illegals' ideology. And eventually, nothing's for free. The government will allow these illegals citizenship to serve in the military. And now, basically, as crazy as this sounds, and it won't sound crazy in a couple of years, but right now it sounds crazy, so I have to be careful what I say. But eventually, you have a bought and paid for mercenary army that's willing to do your bidding for you. And all it's going to take is another big disaster, natural disaster, COVID, something like that, for the Great Reset to happen. And that's what this is aligning us for. I don't know if they are so smart at the top to understand what they're doing, but I feel that there is an evil kind of demonic force behind all this, driving this. I don't know if it's BlackRock up at top and the biggest money laundering scheme we've ever seen right in front of our face, going to Ukraine with $250 billion. When they scoffed at Trump for a $10 billion, Trump wanted to do a $10 billion wall. And when he said that, it was, dude, you remember how astronomically high that was?
We don't have money. Where is he going to get it? And then they were fighting him on it.
$10 billion was crazy. Now, Zelensky, Trump said the greatest salesman of all time.
Oh, that guy. That guy's an actor. Have you seen that guy? Well, first of all, I don't know if people know this, but he's actually an actor. He's a coked out actor. Yeah. They don't show this stuff, but being
having the privilege to be married to my Russian wife, she shows me all this stuff that the Russians know about Zelensky. And I didn't believe this until I saw these footage, but she showed me all these YouTube videos or all these videos of Zelensky, and this guy is on drugs. It's like Conor McGregor he's on some of this stuff, and he's like,
he's funny,
like yacked out of his mind. Dude, Zelensky is doing the same exact things in a lot of his videos, and they say he has a massive coke problem. And I'm not trying to just bag on the guy, but I see some flaws in his character. And where is this billions of dollars going to? Dude,
it's crazy. It's just crazy. Who takes money from the people or the government or whatever, and then decides to send this amount of money unaccounted?
And they know, the politicians know, they've already proven this too. The more money you send in bulk, the less accounting there is.
Yeah, you can't trace it. Who's going to trace it?
If you send tranches of $100 million each, which is still a lot of money, tranches of $100 million, and then you made them account for it, okay, then that's one thing. But just, here's $9 billion, Zelensky, have fun. He buys 3 more freaking mega yachts. God only knows where this money is going. And Zelensky, the whole time, brother, is saying, don't worry, I'll pay it back.
Oh, yeah. Let us borrow the money. I remember him saying that. You know what's crazy is that when the war first started, I said, oh, my God, here we go. Because you know what? Russians are tough. Ukrainians are tough. And the people that really lose are the families that are getting destroyed back and forth, losing people. So it's not a good war for either places. I understand why the war is happening from Putin's side. I understand why the U.S. may fund it, but I think it's more of money laundering. But Zelensky, this guy comes in with his little like army pants and sweater, acting as if he's
on a show, bro.
Dude, what a show. Have you seen him dancing in like weird outfits and so forth on the internet? Like he's
I can't handle this. He's probably at a P. Diddy party, bro.
He might have been at a P. Diddy party for sure, man.
I'm so done. I'm so done with this, bro. I feel like sometimes, does anybody else out there listening right now feel like they're the only one in the world that like sees the truth? But there's so many people that see it. It's so frustrating. Once your eyes are open, they can never be unopened. And I'll tell you, after where I come from, okay, I sure as heck don't even know a fraction of everything. There's a lot of pieces going on, and I've been proven wrong many times. But where I come from is I've experienced, brother, real evil.
Yeah.
And when you've experienced real, true, unadulterated evil, you actually realize that people just, if they knew what I knew, if they had experienced what I experienced, then they would go for a guy like Trump, because they don't realize, they may have a personal character flaw with Trump, like oh, he's a rapist, like all this crazy stuff, which we know is not really true.
You've seen that lady. I've seen a clip of that lady say, rape is like a fantasy and it's sexy or something, and then CNN cut her off. Like, what the? What did you just say?
Unbelievable, bro.
It's all weird. The timing of it is weird. But to your point, people either like or hate Trump. And I don't agree with everything he says. I mean, no man is perfect. Like, you could offend one person or another. But in reality, the guy's like, hey, we need security in our country. I want to lower the interest rates. I want to lower your taxes. I want to make sure you could afford food. Your family could afford food. I want to have jobs for citizens of America. How in your mind, even if you hate someone, do you not vote for someone like that versus someone else that says, oh, I grew up in a low-income family. I grew up in a middle-class family. I grew up in, as this woman, as that woman. And people are like, smiling as if it's, she's telling them magic or something. You're showing them a trick. It is insane. It just boils down to, and I think if there's someone that's undecided on who they're going to vote for, maybe because they hate Trump, maybe because they've been a lifelong Democrat, you got to understand whose policies are going to be better for your family, long term and short term. If your interest rate's going to come down, you can afford more money. You could borrow money to get out of a hard time. If long term, if the border stops and all this immigration stops, you're going to have a better chance at getting a job. It's very simple. You're not going to be outnumbered. And they don't get it, man.
I think it comes down to simple, like go to the gas pump, you know, go to the grocery store. It's so obvious in our face. Like if you can't afford, you know, if the gas price is too high, if we're not drilling for oil in our own country where we have a sea of it, if we're not doing that, prices are going to be too high for barrel, and then you're not going to be able to fill up at the gas tank. The building a house is almost impossible because the gas is more expensive than the lumber getting to your house. Yep,
and the supplies going through the roof. I mean, now there's a big there's a big thing happening currently. They're at the port of Los Angeles. I think they have a strike. This is going to affect a lot of California. They don't even know it yet. Each day stuck at the port is like it's like a week or two in delay for supplies. So there may be a big shortage. Let me ask you another thing, Jimmy. I don't know. Did you read about this where Iran attempted to assassinate Trump as well, or had a plan to do so?
I haven't seen that, but I cannot imagine them not wanting to take out Trump. He is the biggest threat to their fundamental terroristic ideology than anyone has ever been. They are screwed if Trump gets in office. So I really truly believe that there are many different groups that are sweating every single day, praying to God that Trump doesn't get in office because he's going to clean house. I do not believe Trump is our savior. I only believe one is Jesus. But I believe that Trump is going to kick the can down the street for our kids. And so I believe this Ayatollah, this Iranian stuff, there's so many. BlackRock, I think there's a lot of people that don't want Trump in office. If that means unaliving him, that's what's got to happen, I'm sure.
I agree with that. And you know what? It's not just, and I think in government too, because even with Trump, look at, thank God Elon Musk is still wealthy and one of the wealthiest, who said, hey, I'm supporting Trump, but he also said, I'll help clean up the government. I'll make sure the money is not being spent in the wrong areas and really just auditing what they're doing. You know, for example, he laid off people at Twitter, and Twitter still runs on a fraction of the employees there. The government probably doesn't want that, or the people don't want that work there in their high positions. They love their power. They love the money that's residually coming in. Where else can you have a job, not balance your book or have a company, lose every year your budget, you're in deficit, and still get a raise and continue working there? I mean, that's the government, in my opinion.
Kamala would get fired so fast in any other business, or she would be out. She would not even. It would be a joke to keep her in. What kind of? I think what pisses me off the most, brother, is that we're gonna be saying "I told you so" if Kamala remains in office, and I have this terrible feeling she is. Yeah. And so it's gonna be that situation where the same people that are for Kamala right now, 4 years from now, nobody's going to be for her. If she stays in office, 4 years from now, they're going to be going, "Oh man, I was duped." Yeah. "Oh man, no, I didn't vote for her," when they really did. You know what I mean?
Yep. They're kind of blindsided. But what I don't understand is she's been in office 3.5 years and was in charge of the border supposedly. Why get promoted to president for something that's, even the border security union said this is a failure? There's missing children. I've had Sawman Craig Sawyer on my podcast to talk about all the human trafficking and child trafficking. And listen, an open border doesn't prevent that, right? It doesn't. Look at Israel. They have the highest security for a reason. They know who's around them, and they're surrounded by bad actors that do want to destroy Israel. I'm not saying all people are bad, etc. Just saying, hey, there's a lot of countries out there, including Iran, that has stated destruction of Israel and so forth. If Israel didn't have a border, they'd be even in a worse situation with random deaths than anything that we've seen before. I just don't understand how a country such as the U.S., who's a superpower that has money, the dollar used to be prominent, does not have a border, And when Texas or Arizona or Nevada or any of these, actually Texas, Arizona, and I think San Diego did it as well, try to have some sorts of a border protecting their people coming in, the federal government goes and sues them for having protection along the border where its citizens in the state are being affected. I just don't get it.
There's absolutely no benefit whatsoever for allowing millions and millions of people to come over illegally, not vetted through a process. I'm all about people coming over legally.
Yeah,
my wife did. It was a long process.
I did too. And I think legally vetted, and you know what? Assimilate. Contribute to the country you come to make it better. Don't try to destroy it, make it, change it. Start archaic type of ideology. Let me ask you: do you think Iran has sent people to the border?
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're espionage, if you're one of their what would equate to our three-letter agencies, if you're that in China, Russia, you are sending people over here. You're sending people over here. Pearl Harbor happened the same way. They were Japanese tourists that were mapping out the harbor in Pearl City Peninsula there. You have, who is it? The USS Cole bombing that I went to and recovered the bodies from as a young Marine. That was devastating. The smell, it was terrible. 17 sailors dead. I thought, how in the world did this happen? Going up to that ship, man. The USS Cole had a massive hole in it, a 30 by 30 foot hole. And remember, I was recovering the bodies. I asked how it happened because we allowed tourists to come on board. Yemenis terrorists that were undercover as tourists map out the whole area of the USS Cole, exactly where they would be standing in Chow Hall, and they hit it right at noon. I think it was around noon. And so we're allowing people to come in, just like Hezekiah in the Bible, show them our treasury, show them our armament, show the enemy everything that we have, and then expect them not to exploit it at the minimum, but to egregiously take advantage of it maximum. And I think it's going to be the downfall of America.
And it's weird because in all these TV shows that the liberal people always watch, or even people that are undecided, even conservatives, every single show, whether it's like The Walking Dead or whatever it may be out on TV, anytime you have a perimeter break, that whole complex goes to crap. You know what I mean? It's like people want to take over what you have that's nice. In every show with zombies walking around and this and that, they just don't get the concept. The same thing's happening. America was great, still is great, better than a lot of countries. But if we continue to allow it, I think people will just dismantle it from within. Let me ask you a question here as we kind of wrap up. Iran, if a country knowingly, and the feds and the government has admitted they stopped a plot supposedly by Iran to an assassination attempt on Trump. If a country dwells this deep into politics of another country such as America and tries to attempt to kill an ex-president and potentially the next president if he beats Kamala, is that an act of war, or is it something that country's just going to sweep under the rug?
I think there's been collusion on our side with Ukraine. I think there's been, I think everything that's been pointed at Trump for doing, I think it's actually been doing. I think people are actually doing it. What they're blaming Trump for, they're actually doing it. And so I think that there's many acts of war that have happened that they've pushed under the rug that we would have gone to war probably already for. And I think that if Trump does get in, he will uncover a lot of these situations where there are acts of war going on, if not now, in the near future.
Yeah, that's insane, man. And to add to that, I think I mentioned it earlier, Iran also hacked the Trump campaign and gave the information to the Harris campaign as reported by news, and then also I think they also hacked the Harris campaign, but I don't know what they did there. Lastly, let's talk about this, Jimmy. The war with Israel. You've been sent on missions all over the place. I mean, you've seen some of the worst atrocities, multiple tours, as you mentioned, dealt with a lot of bad people. With Israel, this war, you got countries that are screaming death to Israel, death to America. You got the Houthis attacking warships already. They've tried to blow up a few of these warships that the U.S. has sent. Why do you think there's going to be a stance where America at one point goes enough is enough and it's time to clean house, or are they going to support to stabilize that region? Are they going to get more involved, or is this kind of the timing is of all this happening is political timing where they're not going to act?
Here's exactly what's going to happen. There's going to be 2 to 4 man sleeper cells, terror cells. You saw the 4 guys that just started walking around shooting everybody in Russia. You mentioned the Spetsnaz thing. Yep. All right. That's exactly what's going to happen in America. These individuals that are these 2, 3, 4 man, maybe even 1 man operations, these sleeper cells, okay? It's not some conspiracy. Basically what's going to happen is maybe in a year's time, maybe less, maybe a little more, all these different terrorist organizations that are infiltrating through our border, okay, are they're sleeping right now, or they're preparing and getting weapons illegally or legally, whatever the case. They're stockpiling these weapons, and at certain times, these sleeper cells are going to pop up around the country, wreaking absolute havoc like we've never seen before. Because think of a mass shooting, school mass shooting. It wreaks havoc. Now think of a couple guys that are ready to die, that are not the teenager boy doing this or trying to assassinate Trump. I'm talking about 2 hardened guys that literally came to America with the sole purpose and intent to kill as many Americans as possible. Okay, now these 2 guys wake up suddenly, get up, pop up, and go on absolute crazy random shooting sprees with their AK-47s. It's going to be really hard to stop that, and it doesn't matter how much damage they do. The damage psychologically to our American people will be so bad that we will turn on each other. People, you'll be forced to stay inside like COVID. It'll make COVID look like nothing. And therefore, you might have the declaration of war, but it's too late. Yeah. It's already in our borders. That's why people need the right body armor. That's why people need to come see me for that. And they need to train physically, mentally. They need to protect their families, right?
I agree. I agree to that. I think ex-SEALs such as yourselves, you guys have such a tremendous opportunity and such a time to start training people, because you're right. And it's, you know, there's probably more than 2, 3, 4, 5 of these people already. And I would imagine they're in different areas. Horrific, God forbid it happens, but every time I go out for a New Year's celebration, you're in Miami. I mean, you guys got New Year's all over there. There's the ball dropping and fireworks and all that. New York, Times Square. You got all these areas. I was just in New York and Times Square. It only takes 3 people in a very crowded environment to cause havoc beyond anything they've seen. And the problem is the politicians and the people in the high government that are not closing the border, they don't see it. They don't live near these people. They haven't seen them face to face. They haven't been raised in an environment where you're raised in a street and you know that, hey, I'm walking down this block, but I know there's 2 people here that's going to take something from me. You know, they don't have that spidey sense. It's really weird. And I agree with you. I think it will happen here. I think it's too late, man. You're not going to, how can they deport 20, 30 million? It's probably more than 30 million people. You know, without a fight from the other side that says, no, these are just challenged people that are here to stay. It's too late, man.
Yeah, there's only 2 options in the future. There's war or there's riots. It's just pick your poison. If Trump gets in, you're going to have riots. If Harris stays in, you're going to have war.
Yeah. Yep. And you know what? Speaking to that, these riots are always funded. I mean, it's like any of these protests, riots, and all this, it's all coordinated. I mean, no one gets dropped off on the bus and has pallets of bricks laying there to throw at a police station. You know what I mean? It's just insane. And who would want to destroy this country? I mean, there's a couple people we could mention, but I just don't get it.
No. The people that want to destroy this country goes back to people that don't understand what we understand historically. They don't understand the founding fathers, the principles, the biblical aspects of the Christianity and stuff. I don't know how anybody else believes. I'm just talking about me. It's they're coming here to take. So they don't care about these statues. They don't care about the schools. They don't care about the churches.
Their kids don't go to the public schools where all these illegal immigrants have come and taken over, and now there's not enough education, not enough teachers. The classrooms are diluted and they're teaching crap. They don't see that. That's the point. It's really funny when, I don't know if it was a good thing by DeSantis to do, but he made a good point by doing it. I think he sent a lot of illegal immigrants they caught at a certain area to Martha's Vineyards. I thought that was hilarious in some regard, promising them a better life in that area. But they didn't like that at all, and they spun it.
It's hypocrisy, you know, and it's the old thing where, you let somebody borrow your stuff and you never get it back the same, and that's kind of what we're doing. We're allowing all these people to come in and borrow America, borrow our homes or our land, and you're never going to it's never going to be the same because people don't have the same respect as you do owning it. Right. Well,
they trash it. They come here. They don't even care. And they're angry at you because it's so expensive to live here. So they're not even getting all of the amenities. You see, they're already getting funded a bit.
Well, think about this. You make it impossible to live here if you're making money. You got to hustle to live these days. Yep. Okay. Now you bring over all these illegals with these empty promises, and you've made it impossible for the illegal to live. Therefore, unfortunately, I'm sorry, but I kind of know men, and every man's got his price, they say. And unfortunately, if you're not a terrorist, you're going to be forced into some kind of gang activity or something illegal to feed your freaking family, which is extremely sad and a disservice to the illegals that are coming over here.
It's almost like what we talked about, putting a special ops person in a position that they're not qualified for. You're bringing someone in that's not qualified potentially to hold a certain type of job to make them enough money to sustain a family here, to really to provide. I'll tell you another thing. You're going to flip on this one. In California, they passed a law for illegal immigrants that says they will lend them money at 0% interest and zero down to buy a house, up to $150,000. Now, if you're a citizen, you have to pay your 6% interest rate, whatever it is today. You have to find a down payment. Can you imagine the theory for your kids? Like the American dream of buying a house, having the house appreciate and so forth. Your kid can't afford it because they're born here, they're a citizen, whatever. But they're giving an illegal immigrant an opportunity to buy a house before you.
They're ruining our country. My best advice to anyone is to the beginning of the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. Fear God, fear a higher power. Get yourself right. Get yourself tight. Mentally, physically, psychologically prepare for everything as best as you can, not like some weirdo hoarder or some, doomsday prepper, but as much as you can, prepare, be safe, protect your family at all costs, because it's coming. Yep. Whether or not that's in the next 5 years, I don't know, but it's coming.
Let me ask you a good personal question. How many man makers can you do?
Man, come on, man. I can do thousands of man makers. I do 100 a day. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie and just say I do them every single day, but I try to do 100 man makers a day. Any more than 100 man makers, especially when you're doing those failure push-ups at the end. I'm talking about burpees right now. You know, and that's a lot, man. For me, I'm pushing 230. I'm like, I am done at the end, but they keep you in good shape.
They do. It's a full body workout, man. It's kind of crazy. I don't think I could do 100.
Oh, you could, brother. The first 50 is just grueling. You got to slog through it. I like it because it makes you like, it just, you know, it's all about being in the present moment, and pain brings you present. Pain always brings you in the present moment, and pain's not necessarily a bad thing. Think about when you work out. The reason why we don't like working out is because it makes you, it brings you into the present. You have to focus on the pain. You have to be there. You can't be anywhere else. You can't be on your phone. You can't be in the future. You know, pain doesn't allow you to go in the past or future. We need to stay more in the present, because that pain of being in the present always brings about a fruitful goodness in your life. You know, that's kind of what I preach, brother.
So you feel much better. Did you watch the debate between the VPs yesterday? Or you catch any of it?
I watched it, yeah.
You did. Watched it. What'd you think? Vance did good.
You know, I would love to sit here right now and say that you know, Vance crushed it. I didn't think that he crushed it. I think he's very well spoken, and I think Tim Walsh was very well relatable.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
So he comes across as a very nice older gentleman, loving, caring, and but you know, man, I just thought, you know, be careful. Be careful. I'm not buying any of it. I don't buy. It's not like I buy the Republicans' bullshit either. These people, all these people turned on Trump as he was going. Nobody was fighting for him, and now they're like the Trump's biggest fans.
They try to get rid of Trump, the Republican Party. They threw in DeSantis in there, who I like. They threw in a couple other candidates, but they don't. Fox News turned on him. You're right. Tell me.
Fox was turning on him. Fox was trying to hutch him out, shovel him under the. And now Trump is just amazing. Now it's like, man,
such BS, man.
I'm so disappointed in the weakness of mankind. I've been weak in a lot of areas of my life before, so you know, the second I start judging people like sell out, you know, punk. I look at my own life, and I've sold out on things, and I pray that this country can get it together, and I pray that we can. I don't know, man.
I hope we survive. I think whether Trump wins or not, I think if Trump wins, it's better for the country. Obviously, that's my take. I think you share that. A lot of people share
100.
That. You know, but the country won't fall apart in this generation, but in the future, I think it's going to become something of a problem if
I think it will escalate.
If this continues, and. You know, it's just weird what's going on. But I truly appreciate you coming on, Jimmy, to share these things. It sounds like you got a lot going on, man. It's interesting. Hopefully, Trump gets better security. Maybe they're going to have to hire people like you to come back and
call me up.
Yeah, hit up the Navy SEALs. They're used to this stuff.
Yeah, man, and if anybody out there that's listening to this awesome podcast wants to come and join my tribe, we're going through all this stuff. We go through preparation, we go through strategy, we go through everything, mind, body, spirit, and soul. I do 2 calls a week. We even have gatherings. I really hope that some of your listeners can come see me at jimmywatson.co or come to my Mighty Warrior channel. Mighty Warrior 2024 on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah,
we'll put your info below, Jimmy, so they could reach out. And, you know, you got a good following there. Keep it going. You know, you speak from the heart, and no man's perfect, not Trump, you know, or woman Harris, but the country has to come together, as we said. And I think if you're going to put people in position to have prominent roles of security and so forth, that's kind of what we started on. They got to be well qualified, man, woman, etc. It doesn't matter. You can't just throw a random person and risk people's lives. I think that's crazy.
Agreed.
All right, there you have it, folks. The Ideal Hour with Jimmy Watson. You're going to check him out on his Instagram, Mighty Warrior 2023. We're almost in 2025, Jimmy. So
I changed it. I changed it to 24.
You changed it to 24. Okay. You're gonna.
No, don't see me.
We'll find you. No matter what. Every year he's going to be changing it and updating.
They'll find me, man, like the FBI. They
Oh, they're feds, man. They're something else, those
feds,
guys.
bro. They love me.
Oh, they love Jimmy. You heard that here on the Ideal Hour. Jimmy, thank you, my brother, for coming on. You're always welcome on. I hope to see you next time I'm out in Florida. Appreciate you, man.
Bro, it's been an honor. Thank you so much, man, for having me on.